And there is the problem, isn't it?
It is.
One best friend one time, the next another. Should children have a best friend? Let's discuss it with Emma Kenny, who's a counsellor and a mother of 2, and the writer Simon Morrison, who has 4 children, so plenty of experience between you, sitting along the sofa.
House, yeah.
What do you both think? Emma, you first of all. Should you have a best friend?
Well, from my point of view, I think that you can't fight the reality of friendship, and that children do orientate themselves, as do adults, to being able to decide that they have a particular liking for a certain person. I've had the same best friend for 32 years. It's ebbed and flowed, but it's been very, very important to me on all levels.
Simon, have you got a best friend?
I've never really had a best friend. We've talked about this before, haven't we? I've sort of had a portfolio of friends from different phases of my life, and I had a barbecue yesterday, and all these different people were there from different phases of my life, and I really enjoyed that. And the kids, we counsel them that perhaps at school it's better to kind of not have all your eggs in one friendship basket, but to kind of you know, hedge your bets a bit.
You can get let down, I suppose, at that age if you have one friend and then that friend decides that they're going to go off and go to pastures new. It can be a very difficult time for a child, Emma, if that happens.
Friendship is full of mishaps and, of course, full of rejection, and for some children that's really difficult. But actually, part of growing up and having a life with people around you is recognising that you forge resilience from experiences such as loss. And it would be kind of a strange thing to suggest, don't get involved with a close friendship because you may suffer the consequence of them being gone at some point in your future. It's like saying don't fall in love. The reality is the cost does not outweigh the experience. So from my point of view, and actually in studies where they've found that children who have best friends actually have lower levels of cortisol, which means the stress hormone is lower, means that their self-esteem often is higher. So whilst there are causes of concern when children don't make friends, I don't think when we live in a society that suggests you meet a man or a woman or a woman and a woman or a man and a man in a relationship to spend your life with, our whole society in a suggestion has a best friendship group.
It's very early though, I think, for kids, especially at primary school, to start sort of forging those relationships. And I think you'll find as well that a lot of headmasters or people in administration tend to break up best friends and put them in different classes to help them kind of expand their range.
I think yeah, I agree, but I think that's maybe an issue because we're almost taking the autonomy of children and the autonomy of choice. I don't think that it's people forcing friendships. I think it's just the natural development of those that occur.
It's allowing them to make, have more experience and sort of make more friends with different sorts of people.
It's clear you've got opposing views.
Yes, it's really interesting to listen to both the views, and also we know that the head teacher in this case that we're talking about was counselling that perhaps it's unfair to some friends who may feel left out, some children in the class, because I suppose that it can appear cliquey if you have a best friend.
Absolutely,
and other children may not like that, and they may actually get quite upset about it.
Oh, my 4-year-old daughter's in a kind of triangle of friendship, which can be even worse because if you're on the outside and the other two are on the inside, it's really horrible. And at that age, you can't really say, well, when it's the other way around, remember how it felt to you. Yeah. They just don't know and can't understand that. So it's, I always say to them, look, just try and make friends with different sorts of people and, you know, have a range of people. So if something's in the playground, they're playing with each other, there's other people you can go to and play with.
I would agree fully with that. It's better to have lots of friends, but I think that the argument of maybe not having a best friend doesn't really make that much sense. And I think what the headmaster was trying to get across, and maybe was a little bit misquoted on it, was that whilst best friends are important, surely it's better to have a range of different people that you can communicate with.
Yeah.
So Simon, are you actually saying, do you tell your children not to have a best friend if they did have a best friend? What would you say? Have they?
You can't, I mean, you must not have a friend. This isn't something you can sort of, I guess, drum into them, but you can sort of counsel them, I suppose, and suggest that it might be an idea that they have a range of friends for these kind of situations.
And also because you want to protect your children and you don't want to see them get upset themselves if that best friend leaves. It's something I say to my own son, actually. Try and have as many friends as possible. Do you think it is a boy-girl thing, Emma? Because I remember having a best friend and then perhaps it would last a year and then there'd be another best friend.
I agree. I think it's transient. I also think that boys tend to have more than one group of friends, so they'll have one best friend within a group, but the group of friends will be what they rely on. I think men mirror that very often. I think for young girls, a lot of intimate relationships, that very, very close proximity of friends occurs. But as you said, very often that means that one week they've got one week there's another. The truth about best friendships are, if you ask most adults in the UK who is your best friend at primary school, they'll have a name. And I think from my point of view, it's not that I'm saying having lots of friends is wrong. Have as many friends as you can for as many reasons as you can, but there's nothing wrong with having that one special friend.
I do think there's a dynamic there that I think, you know, at school, I met my wife at high school. We were 11 or 12 when we first started going out. We had a big break, but she remembers, I mean, I remember her having one best friend, and she remembers me having like a bunch of friends, or like being in a gang. And I think it's like a gang sort of thing, and that sort of carries on where in later life, a guy sort of maybe want to have enough friends to fill a pub table, and a girl maybe would like to have enough friends to sit the other side at lunch.
And it makes it more difficult when you get married if you've got tons of friends, of course, doesn't it? We'll have
There's
to
no
leave
right
it there,
or wrong,
though.
is there? Everyone finds their own way. I think that's the way.
Emma and Simon, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really interesting.